We made it. It's the next day.
Yeah, it's the next day. I think the plan for this morning is we're going to try and get the old TukTuk off the trailer. It's running okay. It ran great yesterday. We ran about 15 miles out after the incident. So I think we're going to try and get the busted bits off, maybe see about deleting the sway bar to give us a little bit more flex. I think Hoyer's got a little bit of work he wants to do, right?
Yeah, Mark's got some stuff to do to the Dirty Defender. We're going to put some spacers on it. Hopefully today we're going to probably delete his sway bar too for the time being. And, you know, the TukTuk just needs a general check over in addition to fixing. You know, we got to pull the thumper fab off, and it behooves us to check the rollover protection for cracks and things we haven't seen. Get under the engine bay real good and make sure that nothing's bent or tweaked, because it took a hard whack.
Took 3 hard whacks.
Yeah, well, you know, 3 hard whacks combine into 1 gigantic whack.
Yeah, we want to check fluids and make sure that everything's good to go. You know, it didn't seem to leak anything yesterday, which was good.
No.
There's a little bit of diff fluid on the ceiling, which is where you want your diff fluid to be.
Yeah, just came out the breathers, you know.
Just came out the breathers, you know.
Make sure that there's not a ton of gas in the oil.
Yeah.
Make sure it's got all the coolant. Again, no visual leaks, but we'll never know. Yep.
So, all right, let's get at it. We'll grab that one right there, and then we'll probably have to lift the bed. Okay.
OSHA's not here, okay?
Can confirm. Wrench and socket.
You want me to put a shoulder to it just in case it starts to...
Yep, I would do that.
I'm not worried about any of this. Yeah. All right, close it.
Bed's a little tighter to the cab than it was, ain't it?
Look.
Again,
We have a reference.
you gotta quit seeing every question as an aspersion, Bowman.
Down. Yeah, so it obviously came down on this side, and I'm not sure whether that was when we were recovering it or not. That bed liner though, huh?
Yeah.
Tailgate still shuts. Stress crack. Or not crack, just movement on the cage up here.
A pretty good one over here too.
Bet the cage, so if this is the front of the rig, but the cage did this as it came down the hill, so that's why it's contacting the bed as the bed comes down. Yeah, we had...
Oh, there she is.
That's oil, not fuel.
Yeah, you can see from this side it's wet on the inside.
Yeah, so we're probably just looking at oil that came up the intake from the cylinder head. I don't think that's the end of the world. The rig was running fine yesterday. All right, let's check the oil. Let's see what that looks like. Got plenty. We had extra. All right.
What about the roof still works?
I mean,
You
like
landed on it.
You like the lights and the radio?
Lights, radio, all that jazz. You landed, and I can't stress this enough.
On it.
On it.
Main light bar front.
Works.
Our party lights work, boys. Our party lights work.
Right.
We did lose our volume knob in the impact. So let's see. Radio. Radio comes on.
Bluetooth mode.
Stereo works.
That is excellent. Well, we finished up with the TukTuk. Hoyer got started on the Dirty Defender.
Normally it's a little straighter than that, just a touch. So we can fix that, we can bend that straight again if we want to run the bar. But we're going to do science and try it without, since we had a full day of trying it with the bar. And if we need this back on, we'll have our spacers in, we'll use this, no problem. Now that makes it super easy to get into the shock, and I can pull the shock out, compress the spring, and we'll get back in business. So this is our 2-inch lift at the rear. We just slide them on the shock, put the spring back over, and it gives us the space we need to succeed.
With both rigs back together, we headed back out to explore, this time checking out Lower Barracks Trail just outside of Mount Carmel Junction. It's a beautiful 2-track that runs along an absolutely amazing canyon with all sorts of water crossings, perfect for a hot summer day.
Zach,
Yeah, bud.
TukTuk's looking a little different.
Yeah, man. TukTuk super leggero, lightweight. We stripped some weight off. We drug her back to the house last night.
Yep.
Pulled everything off, and everything seems fine. She's running great. We thought maybe tone things down a little bit today.
Yeah, we're out here on Barracks Trail, which is so far been...
Oh, dude. Just absolutely beautiful. You know, it's not technical wheeling by any means, but it's sort of what the Defenders, as we built them, were really made to do.
Yeah.
Which is get out, have a good time, haul a bunch of gear, you know, have all the necessities and niceties that you want for a good day, and just enjoy the scenery. And so far, it's been great.
It's been awesome. And how are we feeling without our sway bars on?
Feels great.
Yeah?
Yeah, we've had a couple big wheel lifts, but it's not as dramatic as it has been in the past, which is great. The trail sort of splashes in and out of the Virgin River here, and you know, a couple of times you're climbing a big bank and you get a big wheel lift, but before, you know, it would feel binary. It would feel like you're riding a picnic table.
Right.
And now you can actually feel the suspension working, which is nice.
Settles into itself a little bit before it tilts you up.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
It's good. You know, the higher speed stuff you can definitely feel a little bit more wallow, but you know, this isn't a Pro R.
I was gonna say, Defenders aren't really meant for that. Man, look at this canyon.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so we're about to get a little bit more sun on us, and we got a long way to go.
Yeah. So this is, I think it's about a 25-mile loop, something like that. We're going to go out and back, maybe see if we can poke our nose into the coral pink sand dunes, get these things good and buried, and see how that goes.
Yeah, we got shovels, we got winches. We're not afraid of a recovery.
Let's get going. It didn't take long for us to find our first actual obstacle, a sort of off-camber light scramble that went okay. Hoyer almost wound up on his side, though.
Oh, brother.
Mark, you just had an exciting morning. Want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I was just going up this thing, and then I thought I was going to go down this thing in a way that I hadn't planned. You know?
What goes up must come down, so why don't you, what do you mean you hadn't planned it?
Well, we were going up this pretty nice rock face, you know, and I thought, okay, we got the tires, we're low, you know, everything was good. Going up, and I had to make a hard left. And I was making that hard left, but you know, the steering lock, and I was on the lock, and then I hit a bump, and as soon as I hit the bump, it kind of went, and I was at that desperate fulcrum point where I was like, what is going to happen now?
Yeah. From the bottom, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was really one of them heartbeat moments where you were really, oh man.
So we had a guy, luckily there was a guy on the trail who was able to jump on the side step and save you, but let's talk a little bit about how we got to this point. You made some modifications yesterday. What'd you do?
So at the rear, we used the 2-inch offset A-arms from Super ATV to fit these big tires. In the kit came these aluminum spacers, big 2-inch aluminum spacers, and what you gotta do is you take the shock out and you remove the spring, and then you slide this spacer on. These are guys right here, and then you put the spring back on. And that's how you're getting your extra 2 inches of lift, they're calling it. It is preloading the spring. I thought it might be too stiff because when you preload the spring that much, it gets pretty stiff. But in fact, it's quite supple. It's taking this really well. These A-arms without the spacers were actually going uphill a little bit. You know, they were sloping upward. And now with this, it's put the lift kind of where you want it, puts the A-arms where you want it. Plus, we took off the rear NI roll bar to get articulation. We're not going fast. We're trying to wheel stuff. We're trying to crawl up interesting obstacles and conquer things, and that articulation has been really beneficial.
This morning's little moment may have not gone the way it did if you'd had your sway bar in. I think a little bit more stiffness might have put you on your lid a little quicker.
It would have, yeah, it definitely would. It's just giving you that extra little bit of flex. It's keeping you closer to the ground.
You're settling into the suspension before it turns rather than not. All right, well, we're about to get out of this little wash, out of the little rocky section, and hit coral pink sand dunes. So we'll see how our decisions end up in the dunes.
The Barracks Trail provided all sorts of fun little obstacles on the way out to the sand, bunch of little rock climbs that are made for machines like the Defender. It's a great place if you're new to riding. I say that because there's a little bit of everything, right? You get just enough off-camber stuff to feel like you're doing something fun. You get a bunch of deep water crossings that are exciting. It's perfect for somebody who's just getting into riding, just cutting their teeth for the first time, like Hoyer. And it wasn't long before we banged out the last couple of water crossings and made our way to the first real obstacle.
Zach, that's not going to translate onto camera, is it?
No, man.
No, we're just going to look like sissies.
Yeah, well, that's okay. This is called Horsepower Hill. This is the only really big obstacle on the Barracks Trail. It's just a big sandy climb. And they call it Horsepower Hill because what do you need to get up sand?
Horsepower.
What do we not have?
any of that.
Any of that.
Nope.
I love the TukTuk. I love the Dirty Defender. TukTuk probably came out, what do you think?
50 horsepower from the factory is what it's rated at.
That was 16,000 miles ago. I'm going to say a couple of those ponies have probably left the corral.
Yeah, especially at the wheels in four-wheel drive.
At 6,000 feet.
Yeah, same with the Dirty Defender.
Yeah.
That would have only had 72 horsepower from the factory.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 122 horsepower total.
Combined.
Yeah, which might not be enough.
Yeah, so what are our options here?
We can give it the old college try.
Maybe let some air out of the
Yeah,
tires?
I think the big thing first is to let the air out of the tires. We've got factory pressures in both rigs, which is a bit much for deep sand. I mean, that is a foot of sugar sand on top. So we'll try that, but sometimes discretion is the better part of valor.
Do you think this is what whips the Defenders? After all this, after flipping down a hill, after mud, after water, after rocks, after all that?
Could be, man. There is no replacement for displacement. And
I don't like getting whipped, bud.
No, I don't either. But, you know, that turbo kit we don't have could have really come in handy today.
Truer words have never been said. I took the first stab at the hill, and the old TukTuk just did not have the tail to get up there. Hoyer gave it the next go, and even with a massive, massive run-up, still could not get the hill done. That sand is just way too soft with it being hot in the middle of the day, and we just don't have the power to make it up this hill. But if you don't have power, what you can do is make your vehicle lighter, so we decided to take everything out of the Dirty Defender for one last stab.
All right, Mark, well, what we thought would happen happened. You didn't make it, so what do we do to take another crack at it?
I thought I had a really good run. I thought it was, I don't know, as close could get. It is the softest stuff I've ever, I mean, it is just soft. It feels really good, and then, whoosh! So we dropped her down even more. I think I'm sort of in the 8 PSI range. Okay. And then we have extracted every piece of extra gear to take it out, a little weight reduction.
Yeah, this is the stage 1 and 2 weight reduction kit. So, I mean, that's legitimately 100 pounds of stuff, so.
I'd like to do a few sit-ups before we start.
Yeah, a couple push-ups.
Yeah.
This is a recipe for success. Let's do it.
Hoyer takes another heroic run at it, even with all that weight out of it, even with the tires down to 8 PSI. The Dirty Defender just doesn't have it. The frustrating part was run after run, Mark kept getting closer and closer, and we thought, one more time, let's see, can he do it?
Mark, I gotta say, that was a damn good run.
I thought I had it. Aaron was right. We were trying 2 different runs, and there was a run where you kind of come around a loop and you rally it and you try and get your momentum going, or there was like a straight run, and I backed all the way through the bushes to the cliff into the river, preloaded it, squared it up, and I just matted it off the line, and man, it felt so good. And I was like, I think I got this, and then nope.
You were so close. And if there were,
man.
If there were points for closest to the pin, you know, you'd be the winner. But
yeah, it turns out sand's a different beast, right?
yeah, no, the hill's the winner today for sure.
Yeah, these rigs did everything we asked them to, above and beyond in some cases, right? Throw it on its roof, drag it out of the woods, no big deal. Knock the dust off the next morning, she's good to go. Rocks, mud, whatever, good to go. Sand, you need extra power.
You absolutely need horsepower. It's one of the few places in off-roading where more horsepower is better.
Yeah.
And yeah, we discovered that today writ large.
Yeah.
I have a KWI clutch in this. It's tunable. We're at altitude. It was tuned right at sea level, so I was getting 6,700 RPM or so, which is what you want to get. And up here, I'm getting like 65, 64. Maybe we bring the tools to tune the clutch next time, but it hits so hard, coming out really smooth, and then, I don't know.
Well, your control has been amazing compared to this thing.
Yep.
This thing feels like a couple rubber bands strung between Tinker Toys by comparison. So
It's potentially a 16,000 mile standard, obsolete now, small Defender.
It's exactly right. And we have put it through the absolute paces left, right, and center.
It's a testament to OE engineering. And, you know, this clutch in there is a Maverick X3 clutch. It's OE pieces that are modified. They do all this engineering on them and the castings and all this, and they do like basically a blueprint job where they skim the sheaves so they're perfect instead of having any variation. They've got their own weights, tunable. I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, that's
work
race
rate.
stuff. That's
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that they're using to win the Mint 400.
Race, it's just like a 3 to 380 horsepower clutch, so maybe there's a turbo in the future.
I was about to say, we're coming back with more power. That's happening. We wanted to come out to a place that was going to challenge us. We wanted to come out to a place where we could absolutely use these rigs to their utmost. Southern Utah has provided that. You know, we got to experience and see a bunch of things that we never get to see and experience in the East or in LA. Utah has been great, and this just goes to show you do not need a $50,000 rig to get out here and have a good time. Bring what you brought, have a great one.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, utvdriver.com 5 days a week. Smash that like button, subscribe to us. Come on, we got more of this coming. Yep, 11 tenths.
All the time.
How many limits do you need to test? We found them all.